Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear Neuroguard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room, and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player at any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out Neuroguard Plus.
Neuroguard mouthpiece makes it easy to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe from concussions.
Neuroguard. They control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I ride. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. In the concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So Neuroguard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, Neuroguard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, Neuroguard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Which district is the toughest in 4A, in 3A, and 2A? Is it District 5? Is it 6? Is it 12? Am I throwing out random numbers? Possibly. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the toughest district show of Sideline to Sideline, brought to you by Neuroguard Plus and Big Country Blitz, right here on L4 Media. And if it's the toughest district show, then the Big R's preview shows are just around the corner. A little bit of a note to that. We've actually already recorded them as I'm recording this the morning I'm dropping the toughest district show. So Grant and I got together and we do what we always do in the off season. We rank the toughest districts in 4A, 3A, and 2A. We do it by divisions. So in that note, we used to, I think, do like a top 5 and then a couple honorable mentions when we just did all of the class and didn't care about the divisions. But now that we are doing it by divisions, we're basically doing the top 4 of each division with maybe an honorable mention here or there mentioned therefore as well. I don't know what any of that last line meant, but it sounded really professional. Speaking of professional, we would love for you to check out our Patreon. This year, we're going to be doing so much different things on Patreon. We're going to be having a Patreon question of the week that will only be asked on and answered on Patreon. And if you join our Patreon, you get a great chance to chat with us on our Discord channel. We're also going to be doing a special spotlight Patreon game of the week. We're going to be having Friday night post-game instant reactions to the games that we are at, and possibly other scores across the state on those Friday nights. Those will only go up on Patreon. So please check our Patreon out. As you can see on the screen, go to www.patreon.com/L4 Media Company. And it helps us out all for I think it's $3. It's less than a cup of coffee. And that's for the whole month. For if you just wanted to do Patreon from, say, August 15th to December or January 1st, just because you wanted the high school side, it's going to be like $15 or something like that. Also, we also are putting up a bunch of our Outdrink the Coverage Pro stuff on there, such as a special fantasy football show, and some of our other unique stuff will be going up on Patreon as well for both the high school and pro. And oh yeah, we have a college show coming out this year. Grant and Noah and I are going to be doing a college show each and every week for Outdrink the Coverage. So please check out our Patreon again on the screen, patreon.com/L4 Media Company. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, please email us, Grant and Terry, at s2ssport.com. Also want to thank BigCountryBlitz.com. If you live in Big Country or you love Big Country football, check out BigCountryBlitz.com for all your Big Country high school and college information. And we will be doing here at Sideline to Sideline, we will be doing a Big Country show brought to you by Big Country Blitz this year. We're excited about that. It'll go up on our site, it'll go up on their site and YouTube channels as well. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's Grant and I to talk toughest districts 2025 in 4A, 3A, and 2A right here on Sideline to Sideline.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear Neuroguard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player, any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out Neuroguard Plus.
Neuroguard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
Neuroguard. They control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. And the concussions I've got, and I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So Neuroguard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, Neuroguard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, Neuroguard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
All right, we are back. We now welcome in Grant via Sat Link, like they saw. It's a tech copy, I would say, from Nightline. We're trying to do this a little bit more this year, just to kind of give you a break, having to drive across the Metroplex. A lot of people don't understand that you and I don't actually live anywhere near each other, and you come across the Metroplex and then go back across, basically, to go home. And so we're trying out this setup. We might do this a few times a year. And to be honest with you, you've listened to what Noe and I do on Outdrank the Coverage. You really can't tell anymore.
No, except for it being Noe, it sounds pretty good.
I was just about to say that. Other than it being Noe, it sounds pretty good. As I was saying in the intro, as you can see on the scroll, please check out bigcountryblitz.com. Man, Cody did us right this year with the ads. I loved all the ads he put in for the show. And as I said in the intro, we're going to be doing a big country show of the week where we'll just talk to a couple of big country coaches, including a couple of college coaches. It's going to be kind of fun. But yeah, I thought he did this really good on the magazine.
Yeah, he did. Really appreciate it too. One of those ads is pretty big, and he's got a bunch of our smaller ads kind of littered through there. So yeah, it's exciting to partner with those guys.
Heck yeah, it's year 2 of doing that with him. And the magazine in and of itself is great. So if you're in big country area, pick one up. It's got some of the most in-depth information. I've been using it today as we wrote out the notes for this. And so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And this is the first time you've ever listened to a Toughest District show. It's as simple as that. We're going to give you the toughest districts in 4A, 3A, and 2A. We do split it up by divisions. We used to do a top 5 and then a bunch of honorable mentions. But since there's only 16 districts in each division, we've kind of just narrowed it down to 4 with maybe a mention or 2. But let's go ahead and start. This time we'll start at the top. We'll work our way down. So we're going to go 4A Division 1. Grant, what is the 4th toughest district in 4A Division 1 in 2025?
4th toughest district, in our opinion, in 4A Division 1 is District 2 with West Plains and Randall. I think those two, it's very top heavy. If we Dumas, though, Dumas is supposed to be pretty good. So they've got a case for being a little bit higher, maybe number 3 with Dumas, but there's just enough question marks to me for Dumas to really where I just kind of think of Randall and West Plains in this district. But boy, what a battle that's going to be for a district championship.
Well, and the whole point of when we talk about, districts and toughest district, it's not always the top. I mean, this is a very solid district, top to bottom. Again, we had Dumas as a dark horse. Hereford's a program that has now, went from a few years ago being 0-10 to last year they were 8-4. They do have to replace a lot, but they bring back Caleb Ramirez, who is their kind of all everything quarterback. Heck, you even look at a Pampa team that, last year went 2-8, but they returned 12 stars. And if you go look at their scores, Tampa was in a lot of those games. And then to me, the curveball team of this is going to be Canyon. And how do we respond? They were supposed to be so good last year. Injuries hit them for the second year in a row. They ended up 5-5. They do return 10 from that team, and I think Todd and Winfrey could have Canyon turned around a lot quicker than people think, and that's why we think this is a pretty solid district top to bottom.
Yep. All right. So the third toughest district in 4A Division One, in our opinion, is District 15. You got the bell cow Livernia, who made a semifinal appearance last year against Kilgore. Couldn't get it done there, but they got a lot coming back. Bay City, obviously, going to be very talented. Bay City's just on a run here lately, and this might be the year they get over that hump. And then El Campo should be pretty good. So you got three really solid football teams in District 15, and let's not forget about Port Lavaca Calhoun.
Yeah, I mean, that's a team that returns 15 from a regional semifinal. Now, the issue with, Calhoun and Livernia is both of them were okay in the season. Both of them kind of got into the playoffs through the back door, and then both went on runs. And so you want to trust that, especially when both teams are returning a lot. But you and I have seen that many times where you think that team that was a Cinderella is going to step up. The next year they can't quite do it. But I do think the Bears will. Sean Garza, their running back, who had over 2,100 yards. He's an all-state guy. He's back. I think
much of those offensive linemen are back too.
And that
that was the strength of that Bear team last year.
Exactly. But let's all remember, El Campo had a rash of injuries late, and that's kind of what allowed other teams to get into the playoffs. And you feel like if they can stay healthy, now it feels like that's been kind of El Campo's issue the last 5-6 years. Even when Chad Worrell was there, they were always battling injuries. But Travis Reeve is now in year 3 there. He returns a good amount of guys who know his system now. And I'm telling you, it wouldn't shock me at the end of the year. We've got Bay City, El Campo 1 and 2 with Livernia and Cal.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that on our Big Osh preview show. All right, what's the second toughest district?
All right, second toughest district, District 9, and that's the big one with Kilgore in it, Chapel Hill, and then Lindell. I think that's your 3 big ones, and then throw in Henderson too. Henderson with a new coaching staff, Meeks is there, so depending on what Henderson does, they. By week 7, if we were to re-rank these, District 9 might be the toughest district in 4A Division 1.
And don't forget Palestine. James Ray, second year over there. He's from Lumberton. He's taking a program that was very athletic, very physical, but very conservative offensively. He's does his passing game that we all know how well it worked at Lumberton. The Wildcats always have athletes. That's never an issue. And they return 15 starters who, again, a year into his system. I'm not saying they're going to be a dark horse or even win the playoffs, but they're a team that it wouldn't shock me if they pulled maybe what Henderson did last year and upset Kilgore, but did not even make the playoffs. I could see Palestine doing that, and you're so right on Henderson. To me, Henderson is the team, and also Pine Tree. They're the 2 teams that pivot how tough this district will be. Because I have a feeling, I agree with you, we're going to look back at this end of the year and go, how did we not have 9 4A Division 1 as the toughest district?
Right. All right. So 4A Division 1, your toughest district in the state of Texas, I think, and I believe you think, and I believe a lot of people probably think, District 7 with Salina, Sulphur Springs, Panther Creek, Aubrey, Paris. That's just a killer district right there.
I mean, just the top 3 alone, and really the 4th with Aubrey. Now, Aubrey is having to replace their offensive coordinator, so we'll see how that works. But Salina, Panther Creek, Sulphur Springs, and Aubrey in of themselves make this easily a top 3 toughest district. And then you throw in a Paris team that last year had some injuries, had some bad breaks, but still just missed the playoffs by 1 game. They returned 13 starters, including their all-everything Keyshawn Roberts, who's kind of like a Cavante Turpin for them. They like to use him all over the field in the return game. And then they've got a big old wide receiver in Markeith Finch. I'm telling you, Paris is going to upset somebody in district this year.
Yeah, probably so. And I'll tell you, if you live in the Collin County or Denton County area, you can go to a good game every Friday night in this district. There's just going to be a humdinger every week.
At 100% right. So anyway, that is our 4A Division 1. Toughest district is District 7. Second toughest district is District 9. Third toughest is District 15. And the 4th toughest is District 2. Again, we talked a lot about this in the regional show, and you're going to hear this throughout tonight, and you're going to hear it throughout the Big R's preview show. This was one of the toughest years in picking these toughest things because, in my opinion, through all the classes that we cover, it's so spread out across the state this year. All right, 4A Division 1 in the books. Let's go to 4A Division 2. The fourth toughest district in 4A Division 2, at least by our accounts, is District 11.
Yeah, you got Sealy and Belleville, the big dogs in that district. And then, Madisonville might take a little bit of a step back this year that they were from, the last 2 years. But then look for LaGrange. They might be a little bit saltier this year.
Yeah, I don't think Madisonville takes quite as much of a step back as people think because they do return a chunk of that defense, and that's kind of what Madisonville over the last year built themselves around. And you've got Tristan Whaley, who's back. He's not as athletic as I can't remember the guy that went to Tech a few years ago. He's not as big, but he is still very, very athletic and very quick, and he's going to give some problems. And you mentioned Sealy, and I will say this when we do the big shows. Sealy, to me, if they can finally get their quarterback to stay healthy for a full year, which they have not done since he started, I think there's no cap to what Sealy can do this year.
Yeah, that cat is a dual threat quarterback that is going to hurt a lot of defenses. So, I hope we get a chance to get down and see that Sealy Belleville game for district.
Oh, exactly. I think that, A, they hate each other, and B, it's just going to be a great game as well. All right, who's the third toughest district?
Third toughest district. This was tough. I had them at number 2. I changed them back around to number 3, and that's District 8. You got obviously the bell cow Carthage, and then you got Center and Athens in there. I think that's from top to bottom a pretty tough district. We know pretty much who number 1's going to be, but the fight for second and third. And even fourth, that's going to be what makes this district so tough. Athens, Center, and then, who's going to be that fourth one? Bullard, Rusk, Brownsboro.
Well, Rusk is one of those teams that has a ton of offense but couldn't stop anybody last year.
Mm-hmm.
That bodes as an issue for them, with the offenses that Carthage, of course, is going to have and what we think Athens and Center will do, because even though Center lost their head coach, they replaced him with an offensive coordinator. But their offense is good enough again, and I'm going to keep saying this, they're one of those teams that could end up, week 3 of district, and they pull an upset off and end up in the 4th place just simply because they outscored an opponent. And that's why we think this district is pretty tough. Yes, Carthage is there. Yes, Carthage is going to win probably by a landslide, but second through 4, and I'm not going to say Brownsboro has a chance, but again, all Brownsboro has to do is pull one upset off, and they're sitting there in the playoff race.
Exactly. All right.
So here's one of the fun things about, I know everybody complains about 4-team districts, and I agree about 4-team, but 5 and 16 districts, they're that perfect size where all it takes is an upset to completely change the apple cart.
Exactly. All right, so the second toughest district in 4A Division 2, we think, is District 9. Got West Orange Stark in there. You've got Silsbee, Hampshire Fannett, and Jasper. Jasper's going to be a lot better than what I think a lot of people think. They got some skill guys to replace, but I think up front they're going to be pretty solid. So that makes District 9 a pretty tough district with those guys.
Well, and the one skill guy that they do have coming back, Raha Garza Adams, is an absolute stud. He had over 1,000 yards last year. Jasper's built themselves on physicality and defense, and they do return a good chunk of that. My only issue, and I was talking with Silsbee Mike Sanchez about this online, because he said, hey, you called Silsbee rebuilding, and he's right. I didn't really mean they were rebuilding this year. It's just I don't know how much I can trust the results of last year, because everybody felt like they were a step back as far as the state and region level. Inside this district, it's going to be just like it has been for the last 2 years. I mean, every week is going to be physical, and we're definitely going to see a couple of holy crap scores from the left. Jasper, and even we have them, and I think Dave Campbell's has them. I'm spoiled. We have Hampshire Fannett are probably second or third, but they now feel that they are a team that is a region threat year in and year out. And as you know, man, that confidence can change a program.
Yep, sure can.
All right.
So the toughest district we have in 4A Division 2 is District 7, with Gilmer, Pleasant Grove, and Van being your 3 big heavy hitters there.
I hope nobody thinks we were just being lazy by going 7, 8, and 9 on our list.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
and this is a tough district because again, you've got three teams that we feel that they're going to be the top three, but you don't really know where they're going to be at. But then you've got teams like, again, and I know it feels like we keep saying this about them because they always have a lot of returning starters, but Spring Hill last year made the playoffs. I know they were 3-8 and they got beat, but they still made the playoffs. They returned 15 starters. Travis Allen, who's back at quarterback, who's really, really big, 6'2", and then they got a really good running back in Coleman Stout. I mean, as good as I think Van is, I don't think they're as far ahead of Spring Hill as people would think. And then, of course, we talked about it. Pittsburgh, once again, in another regime change. They always have the athletes. It just feels like right now the Pirates can't keep a head coach.
Yeah, athletes and depth, depth might be a little bit of a problem. And, it's kind of bit them a little bit. And then, you're right. Consistency in a coach and a program.
All right, now let's turn our attention to 3A Division 1 as we keep on marching on this toughest district show. And Mr. Goodwin, who is the fourth toughest district in 3A Division 1 in 2025?
That would be District 4, Paradise being your top end, and then you got two really solid teams in Peaster and Vernon.
This is a district, as we said earlier with another district in 4A, we'll probably say it again. If Paradise continues to be what they are, as Joe Koch retired, of course, his son, Tommy Koch, the defensive coordinator, took over. He's going to run basically the same system. And if they can do that seamless, this district will be completely better because I think Paradise is a region favorite. I also think if they can be seamless, they can be legitimately playing in Arlington this year.
Yeah, they really can. And I'd like to add Marcus Schultz Ponder Lions to the list here in District 4. I mean, that's Ponder, Vernon, and Peaster are what really make this district tough. Once Paradise is going to be the chic pick here for District 4, but then you throw in Ponder, all those teams right there are just going to be battling tooth and nail for the seeding in the 1 through 4
We've
playoffs.
said this multiple times now when they were in 4A and now in 3A. If Iowa Park can ever figure it out, they've always got the size and some good athleticism. Their coach came in out of college, first year there, but I mean they've got 10 returning starters. I mean, they're not gonna look across the field and be afraid of anybody they're playing. And then as you talk about Vernon, this district is just full of really good quarterbacks. You brought up Ponder, Tyson Prince, one of the most underrated athletes in the state simply because of where he plays. He's going to light the world on fire. For Ponder, if they can just find consistency from game to game, they easily could challenge Paradise and for sure challenge Peachter for that second place.
Yeah,
okay, our third toughest district in 3A Division 1. This time we're going to go across the map, and we're going to go 3A. I mean, not 3A. Division 1, District 15.
Yes, Edna, Goliad, and Mathis. Then Orange Grove. It's going to be pretty tough, right? So you've got 4 really good teams out of this district. Then Aransas Pass. Who knows? They've been playing pretty well over the last few years, so they might.
Well, and this is a district that the only reason it's not higher is there's so many teams, so you have such a drop off after the top 3 or 4. Now, in saying that, I'd like to see what Palacios can do this year. They're returning 10 from a team that was 3-4 in district and were playing for a chance to make the playoffs the last week, and they couldn't quite do it, but they returned one of the best linebacking cores with Ben Jimenez and Emilio Martinez, a really solid defensive line. If they can figure things out consistently offensively, I think they could jump CC London. But man, Edna and Goliad are just also so good. They bring up this many teams into this district.
Yeah, that'll be a fun district game to watch.
We might have to be at that. Well, we also have been talking about Goliad and Tidehaven week 3. Heck, man.
No, week 2, we'll see Goliad against Tidehaven week 2. We're going down there, right? That's at Tidehaven.
Of course, we'll announce our first week schedule during the Big R's preview show, but let's say we're already going to be putting miles on the S2S truck in week 1 and week 2 alone. All right, what is our second toughest district?
second toughest district in Class 3A Division 1 is District 12. Always a tough district. Usually our top two, right? Just seems like every year, year in and year out, this district ranks right up there as the toughest. Columbus, Hitchcock, and Yoakum. And then throw in Hallettsville, and who knows what Hempstead's going to be, but just those four teams right there, that just makes this a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you got state championship Columbus, who lose a lot, but they also bring back a lot. And I think the program is proven now that they are in a consistent region threat mode. Of course, Hitchcock, their rival. Now, they do take a bigger step back. Their defense is going to be outstanding, very athletic, but they lose that big defensive lineman. He transferred. Hitchcock is the team that I could see actually, they're going to make the playoffs, but I see them sliding below Yoakum and maybe even Hallettsville. I still think they give Hallettsville matchups because, look, the more I look at them, and we kind of footnoted them in the Dark Horse show, I think Yoakum's going to be pretty darn good this year, returning 16-9 on defense. You got Xavier Barnett, the all-everything wide receiver. You got a couple of big old offensive line. They're going to be physical. They're going to be fast. Again, if they can stay healthy, I think they can challenge anybody in the district but Columbus. I still think Columbus is a step above everybody this year.
Yeah, you're right. But, you'll be hard-pressed to find anybody that's going to out-athlete Yoakum, right?
Exactly.
Yoakum's just, they're loaded every year athletically. And like you said, they got some size up front on both sides of the ball. That's a dangerous combination.
Well, and I know this, people will say this is a goofy take, but I legitimately believe this. Yoko's one of those teams that's not afraid to play anybody. They play Cuero every year. They play the tough games. They're always in a tough district. So Yoakum always believes when they step on the field that they're going to be the team that wins.
Yeah, and if we were ever to do like a toughest schedule in the state per class, Yoakum would year in and year out be top 3.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that we're not just talking about their district. They happily go play some big boys. Again, Newman and Cuero have one of the best underrated rivalries, in my opinion, going in the state right now. All right, so all that said, what is our toughest 3A Division I district?
That would be District 8 with Jefferson, Atlanta, and Liberty Islo. Then throw in Tatum, who I think is going to be pretty solid. Don't know about Gladewater just yet. White Oak, they've kind of struggled as of late, but just those three, top 3 alone with Jefferson, Atlanta, and Liberty Islo, that makes this just a killer district.
I will say this about White Oak. I know a lot of people made fun of them last year because they had a tough schedule in non-district, but there was a reason why. People got to remember when Michael Ludlow stepped in, they were 0-10. So he got them some confidence last year. They did have the tough road once they hit district, but in saying that, they returned 16 starters. And while as much as I love the top end of this, really honestly, after Liberty Islo, it's a question. And I'm not saying why don't playoffs, but I'm just saying I think everybody is competitive for the 3rd and 4th spot, which again, that's what makes this such a tough district when you've got 4 teams playing for 2 playoff spots. And hell, let's not forget Sabina's had recent success, not in the last couple of years, but this is a team that's been making the playoffs. This isn't the old Sabine that used to be 1-9 every year. They probably feel they have a chance. So I think 3 and 4, that's going to be the fun spot of this district.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
3A Division I in the books. Now let's go to 3A Division II, toughest district. What's the 4th toughest district in 3A Division II this year?
That would be District 13, in our opinion. Lexington, the bell cow here, Blanco ought to be really darn good. And then Comfort, Rogers, and Thrall. I expect Rogers to be pretty solid. But really, man, that Lexington-Blanco matchup for, say, what I assume will be a district championship should be one heck of a ball game.
Yeah, look, again, when we look back at the end of the year, this district could be higher depending on what Rogers does. Last year, they were a little underwhelming. They went 3-8. They did make the playoffs. They returned their quarterback. They returned a couple wide receivers, but they've got to be more competitive against the Blancos and the Lexingtons, and then this district could be better. But at the end of the day, it's the Panthers and the Eagles that pump this district into the top 4, but it's the lack of depth that keeps them from going higher.
Right. All right, so the 3rd toughest district in 3A Division II, would be District 7 with Gunner, obviously, the big boy there, and then Bells and Blue Ridge. I think those two are going to be really solid. And then like Callisburg, Leonard, maybe fighting it out for that fourth spot.
I feel like, and we said this about Gunter at the state level last year, and we were right. That state championship game was one of more of a struggle of a game that they've been in. And I feel like this is the first time in however many years that I think Gunter will still win the district, but I think this will be the most competitive district Gunter has been in for a few years. I think Bells is back with their Power West, Del West offense. And then again, Blue Ridge, they've got a ton coming back from both sides of the ball, but specifically that offense. And man, they can score on anybody. And if Blue Ridge can just get that confidence playing the Bells and the Gunter teams in district, I legitimately feel the sky's the limit for them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I look for big things for Blue Ridge.
Do you feel that this is the first time in a long time that Gunner's going to be truly challenged in district? And I'm not saying they will be, but at least on paper.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're going to be challenged per se. Will the games be a little bit more competitive? I think so. But I still expect to see Gunner with a pretty wide margin of victory in a lot of these games. Bells, Blue Ridge, maybe be a little bit closer, but the odds-on favorite is definitely Gunner. And every week, after maybe we see them scrimmage, I think I'm going to go see them scrimmage when I get back from Chicago next week. And I don't know who they're scrimmaging, but I'll have a little bit better idea what Gunner's going to look at. When you lost so much, but then you reload every year, it's just hard to tell.
But, this is the first time, and I'm not saying Jordan Gill can't do it, because I think he will, but this is a coaching change, even if it's a small, subtle one because they stayed in-house. But, again, everything that was around all that, I just think this is the most question. And even if the coaching change hadn't happened, I still think this is the most questioned, Gunter team compared to their other teams. Again, they're still going to be a region threat, and if they end up winning state, I wouldn't be shocked at all. But anyway, let's now go to our second toughest district in 3A Division 2. And this one could easily be the toughest if Millsap finally breaks through. That, of course, is District 6 with Holiday, with Jacksboro, Wichita City Few. And then, in my opinion, I think Millsap is a fourth-place team that they've got to win that playoff game. They're one of those teams that you feel like if they finally could win that first round playoff game, which they've never done, but they've now made it 3 out of the last 4 years, they could finally break through. But the way you do that is you have to finish higher in district, so you're not always playing the district champ in the by-districts.
Yeah, exactly. District 5, you don't want to go play in, say, a Toller in by-district, right? So, I think Millsap's got to pull off maybe one upset or I don't know, play to their paper, but they don't want that fourth spot.
Yeah, exactly.
But Holiday and Jacksboro and City View, those are 3 tough teams bunched right there in the same district.
And Jacksboro, they're going to have to figure out the defensive side. That they lost a lot from that, but they've got Wyatt Gavitt back at quarterback, who had like 300 or 3,000 yards, I think 3,700 yards, 45 touchdowns, a running back who had 985 yards in Balderrama. And they could have easily had more, but they're sitting him down a lot in the fourth quarters when they're winning. And then Holiday, this is the quietest Holiday's been, and I mean that in a good way. I feel like, as you said, during the toughest region, this is year 3 in Atwood's system, and I kind of feel like Holiday's finally starting to find their stroke in this new. Not even a new scheme.
Yeah, second year in the new scheme, right? I think third year. Okay, yeah. Okay, year 3, they ought to be getting very comfortable. They got the athletes to do it, right? So, yeah, I expect big things from Holiday as well.
So that means, what is our toughest district?
Toughest district in 3A Division 2 goes to District 14 with Tidehaven, East Bernard, Rice Consolidated, and Van Vleck being your big boys. And that's a lot. That's a lot of football meat.
You're looking at a couple teams, in my opinion, in Van Vleck, who returns everybody on defense, most of their offense, including electric Devin Barnes, and went 9-4 and made it to the region semifinals. You put them in a lot of other districts, they're a district favorite. You put Ross Consolidated in a lot of districts this year with 8 returning, including their all everything Robert Bennett and Cordette Johnson at quarterback. They would be at least a second place favorite in a lot of districts, and they're going to be fighting for their playoff lives because I think Boyling's a team you got to watch out for. They returned 12 from a team that was 3-7 last year, but they were really, really competitive. And oh yes, let's not forget Vanderbilt Industrial, who started out the year last year, 0-6, but they legitimately, I'm talking all classes, probably played the toughest schedule last year, and they're going to play a lot of, they're playing that same basic schedule this year. But if they can get through the first year of Matt Ludicat's system, they're a team I wouldn't want to be playing with a playoff spot on the line.
Exactly, and that's what makes this district
So I mean, there is going to be. Look, I do think Tidehaven is above and beyond everybody else in the district, but that doesn't mean that they can go into East Bernard and take on them and expect to win 60-0. There's going to be some really close scores in this district, and there's going to be not one but 2 or 3 oh wow type upsets, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure, and that's what makes a tough district, right? When you have some upsets.
We always try to tell people, we've always had this belief that we don't have a true outline. We don't do like a point system like this is why. Each district tells its own story of why they're tough. Some of them, like when you look at Carthage, it's because Carthage is so far up, and then they've got a couple other good ones that they bring them up. But then you have a district like this, which is the toughest because there's legitimately 6 teams that could make the playoffs, and I think there's 2 or 3 teams that could fight for the number 1 spot. All right, we've got 2 classes down, 1 more to go. Let's turn our attention to the 2A world, 2A Division 1. And what is our 4th toughest district in 2A Division 1 this year?
I'm going to start by saying 2A Division 1 is just going to be a really fun class to watch this year. I mean, dude, there are just so many good teams kind of spread out, but every district has something in it just about. There's a few districts that maybe a little bit easier, but just about every district has something in it. Anyway, let's go with the 4th toughest district in 2A Division 1, I think, is District 1 with Panhandle and Sunray being the 2 big
again,
ones.
this is a district that if Sunray can replace a legend, it won't be easy. And again, you don't have to replace all the stats, but if you can have your offense at least stay within 10 points of what they scored last year, I think they're going to be okay. I'm worried about their defense, though. We saw in the playoffs what Post did when they basically beat them. And Sunray turned the ball over a couple times, but Post basically beat them by playing keep away. And they're in a region, in a division that keep away is what a lot of these teams like to do.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, go ahead. You had something to add on that?
Panhandle, I think people are really sleeping on them this year. And I know they're ranked pretty high, but I'm still, when I'm seeing what people are saying as region favorites and who's going to the state semifinals, I just keep looking at the Panthers, and they return 15 starters. A lot of them are the key players that all their hot shot players are back. They were 10-2 last year. They felt they went out at least a round early. Again, you got to give Post credit, man. They went on a run and pulled off.
We got a chance to see them, and we got a chance to see that Panhandle quarterback against Sunray last year in week 9 or 10, right? And they were very impressive.
This is why we love the classes we cover. Broxton Robinson is probably a better linebacker than he is a quarterback. When his quarterbacks,
right? Yeah.
All right, the 3rd toughest district in 2A Division 1, and once again, we're going to go all the way across the state to District 15 and explain this one, sir. I don't think you really have to, but why are they the 3rd toughest?
Well, Ganado and Weimer's going to be really good. We know, Ganado, what they are, right? Returning state champions, enough coming back to where they got to still be one of the favorites. In the region along with Refugio, but then Weimer is in there. Schulenberg got to be pretty good. But mainly this comes down to just Ganado and Weimer being in the same district.
Yeah, I think this, and I'm not going to say what it is now, but I think this district is pretty set, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be some close games. You brought up Schulenberg. Yeah, they have a new coach, but this is a team that returns 14 from a team that was an 8-4 team last year. And then you got Kennedy, who returned 19 from a team that was 5-6 in a tough, and 3-3 in this tough district. I would not want to be playing the third and fourth place team in the playoffs this year in this district. This feels like a district that could sweep the first round no matter the standings are 1 through 4. All right, what's our second toughest?
Second toughest in 2A Division 1 is back out in Region 1. That's District 4. Man, this is a loaded district. Stanford, obviously being the favorite here, but then Hawley and Cisco, that just adds a lot of
This is
people.
one of those districts that I think their records aren't going to wow a lot of people because they play tough non-district schedules, and I think this is one of those districts where you're going to see a lot of teams beating up on each other. I mean, Stanford is Stanford. We know how great they were. They made it to state last year, but they've got to completely rebuild their offense, and they do. They also have to fill some needs on defense. They're going to be fine. I'm not saying they're not going to do that, but I don't think that they're a cut above, say, like a Hawley, who was 10-2 last year, return 11 guys, including Camden Abels. And if there's an Abels on a Hawley team, they're probably going to win 10 to 14 games. And then you've got Cisco, a team that, the last few years, it feels like they've underperformed, yet they still went 3 games into the playoffs last year.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Very, very tough.
I mean, let's not count out Anson. Again, this is how good this district is. 14 starters, area finalists. This is another district that most likely sweeps the first round just because of how deep it is, and that's why they're as high up as they are on our list. All right, that means the number one district, or the number one toughest district, I guess number one district, however you want to call it. We're going to go back into the deep Piney Woods, a place we love and place we will be at in week 1. 11 2A Division 1 as the toughest district. And I mean, it's real simple. When you've got a team that is fresh off of winning 2 state championships just 2 years ago and being really good last year, but getting just hit with the injury bug and other issues, when you have them as the 4th place team and they're returning a lot, that tells you how good this district is with Garrison, Joaquin, Shelbyville, Timpson, and hey, San Augustine, they returned a bunch from a team that they felt kind of underperformed last year as well.
Yeah. I just, this is just a murderer's row, right? I mean, if you're Garrison, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, but you look down there and you're like, man, we got to bring our A game, though, against a Joaquin and a Shelbyville and a Timpson. Or you can get knocked off your crown.
Let's just say it is Garrison. Their blood rival, San Augustine, and San Augustine in there fighting for that last playoff spot. They'd love nothing more to knock off Garrison. I will say this: my picks will be surprising in this district on our Big R's preview show, and I will circle one concern, and this is just how I am, and we talked about it earlier. Joaquin was such a Cinderella. Do they take that next step, or do they go back to being, last year was just a Cinderella? Because they got beat pretty bad in district by some teams that they ended up beating in the playoffs, which that's a compliment, but that also sometimes can be just one of those runs. But we'll talk about all that on our Big Rock preview show. So,
that our week 1 game, that's the Thursday night game, right? Wascom at Garrison will be at that one on Thursday. That's going to be a humdinger.
Well, again, we'll talk about it in the preview show, but man, you and I are very high on both of those teams, Garrison and Wasco, man. When those two blah, 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 when those two teams play, man, it's always maroon, but it's always fun. All right, so our top 4 toughest districts from 4 to 1 in 2A Division 1, District 1, District 15, District 4, and then the toughest being District 11. All right, let's finish the night with 2A Division 2. And Grant, what is the 4th toughest district in 2A Division 2?
That would be District 15. You got Shiner and Fall City, the big boys, right? The 2 big boys in that district. After that, I just don't see anybody really challenging Shiner or Fall City. But just having those 2 fighting it out for a district title in the same district, it just, makes it a very tough district.
Exactly. Now, I could see Yorktown breaking through and winning a playoff game this year. Last year, they were 7-4 with 12 starters coming back. Brody Metton, their quarterback, is really, really solid. They're going to have to figure out defensively, even though they return a lot, they struggled at times. But yeah, it's just that Shiner and Fall City in Class 2A Division 2 are just so deep. We feel that warrants them being the 4th toughest. Now, the 3rd toughest is in Region Division 3, and this was last year's toughest district. And this just shows you how things can change. It's still tough, but nowhere near what we thought it would be. And that's 10 2A Division 2 with Bremont, Mark, Goldwaite, Chilton, Wortham, Frost, and so on.
Yeah, I think like anybody, we pretty much think Bremont would be the district favorite here. Mart has fallen off just a little bit, just not quite what Mart has been. And then Goldthwaite, they ought to be pretty good. So there's just still three big heavy hitters. Nobody's going to want to take the Mart Panthers lightly by any means. Just because they're maybe taking a little step back doesn't mean they're not a good football team. So yeah, them and Goldthwaite really bolster this District 10 up with Bremont.
I'm going to say this about Mart. I'm going to say that it might not be the worst thing that it is a new era. And that's not a knock. It's just, I think sometimes you need to refresh things. And you could tell the last couple of years that things were stale. But when you look at the district from top to bottom, I'm not going to name the teams because I've already had this note for the district in the previous show, but one team has 19 returning starters. The other team has 20 returning starters. Another team has 16 returning starters. Another team has 12. Another team has 12. Another team has 14. Another team has 14. Only one team has less than double-digit starters coming back, and that was Wortham. Everybody else has at least 15 returning starters. I think this district is going to bounce back really quick from what was perceived last year as a struggle, even though, again, it really, really wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, week 6 or 7, we re-rank these, and District 10 might be higher than number 3.
Exactly. All right. So what is our third toughest district?
Third toughest district in 2A Division 2 would be District 11, Grapeland, Lovelady, Mount Enterprise, and Overton. Don't forget about Tenaha either. And then Alto, Cushing. But I think Tenaha, Grapeland, Lovelady, and Mount Enterprise, Overton, those are the big tough ones right there.
I mean,
that's a lot of good football teams in one district.
Exactly. I mean, Overton's a team that went 10-3 last year, made the region semifinals, and returned a good chunk, including their quarterback, 2 of their wide receivers, and they're predicted by most to finish 3rd or 4th. That's how good this district is. And Mount Enterprise might have the best athlete running back going in all of classes, and Keegan Ash, he's got like 7,500 total career rushing yards. If he has another normal year, he's going to touch 9,000. And if they make the playoffs and go on a deep run, he might even end up with 9,500 yards. He's that good. And then again, you've got Lovelady. They returned the house off of a very solid team. And then, Grapeland's always Grapeland. They started out slow last year, but then they figured things out and they went on a nice run to the end of the region. This district, if Alto would finally go back to being the Alto that we used to know, this could easily be the toughest district when we look back in the middle of the year.
Well, I almost picked District 11 as the toughest district. Honestly, it was just kind of a toss-up, which our toughest district is made District 8, and that's because of Munster, Collinsville, and Lindsay. But, again, it was kind of a toss-up. You could probably email us and make a case for saying, no, District 11 is tougher than District 8, and District 11 is the number 1 toughest district, and District 8 is number 2.
Yeah, and I like District 8 being as the number 1 because, as you said, Munster and Lindsay and Collinsville and Lindsay, everybody's talking about their offensive philosophies making some changes. Let's not forget, they scored a ton last year. It wasn't that they couldn't score. It's just when you went up against a better defense in a Munster and a Collinsville, that's where they would struggle. Now they're still going to run the option, but they're going to try to throw the ball a little bit more with Lane Foster.
And that's the key right there, right? Just mixing in, keeping the defenses honest.
Yeah, just keep the defense honest. You don't have to throw 300 yards, but, you go back to Gunner, or like you and I always love to talk about, the Lineweaver Euless Trinity era, where he threw 8 times sometimes, and they would have 200 yards passing because every time he threw it was the perfect time. He caught the linebackers and the safeties looking into the backfield, looking for the running game. That's all you have to do. Now, what hurts this district is after that, there is some questions, Santo, it feels like they're one of those teams that every year I get told by the coaches in the district, watch out for Santo. They're going to be better. And they are. It feels like they're always 3-1 going into district or 4-1 or 2 going into district, and then the wheels fall off. So that's the only thing to me that hurts this district. But when you've got Munster, Collinsville, and Lindsay, 3 teams that I think this region could be decided by these 3 teams alone.
Yeah, I do too.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear Neuroguard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room, and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player, any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out Neuroguard Plus.
Neuroguard mouthpiece makes it easy to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
Neuroguard. They control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. In the concussions I've got, and I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So Neuroguard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, Neuroguard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, Neuroguard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
All right, we are back. Wanted to wrap things up again. Thanks for joining us, man. Our numbers on YouTube for the first 3 shows that we've put up this year have been outstanding. We hope to keep that going. We're going to be doing more shorts and reels this year through on Sideline to Sideline. If you noticed on Outdrank the Coverage, we've been putting a ton of them up, basically 1 to 3 every day. We're going to start doing that in season. Some of it will be content from the show that we, edit out and throw up, but there'll be some other things that we'll be doing that'll be short, extensive only, some things that I'll be doing for Sideline to Sideline. So please check that out either on our Facebook page, just type in Sideline to Sideline, or over on our YouTube at youtube.com/@L4 Media Company. And again, please check out our Patreon. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/L4 Media Company. And until the Big R's preview shows, I'm Terry Bennett. That was Grant Goodwin, and this has been Sideline to Sideline right here on L4 Media.